Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tiffany. If you're new here, I'm an expat living in Greece. Today I'm going to talk to you about all of the Greece travel restrictions to enter Greece and then some of the things that you will need to know if you're planning on coming. Back in December, Greece announced that everyone, no matter their vaccination status, would have to test before their arrival in Greece. So you can either take a PCR test 72 hours in advance or a rapid test 24 hours in advance. Obviously, if you're coming from quite a distance, let's say the US, this can be a little bit tricky because sometimes getting the test results back in time is a little bit difficult. So you need to do your research on a lab that can do this for you. You will need to make sure you also fill out the passenger locator form. And I will link to that website where you fill that out below in the description box. So if you know you can get a PCR test or a rapid test within the appropriate timeframes, the other thing that you need to check is whether or not the country that you're coming from is on the allowed list in. And when I say coming from, I don't mean where your passport is from. I mean that the country that you're flying from is on the allowed list. This list has been updated almost every month, and for a time it was updated every week. It's a little less frequent now. I will link all the countries below that are currently allowed in, but if that list changes, I will be updating that list over on my community tab. It doesn't change very often, so you don't need to check back like daily. But I would say if you're coming in the next month or so, make sure you check it at least once or twice before you come. There are some countries that are being tested on arrival. If you go to the website that I've listed below, it will tell you that whether or not you're going to be tested on arrival. Now, you still may be tested on arrival. It says that anyone can be tested on arrival. I came back from the US a couple of weeks ago, and if you watch that video, you'll see that I talk about some people were pulled over and tested. I don't know if they were on my flight or not, but I flew from Dallas to London and London to Athens, so it can happen to anyone. All right, now what about when you get to Greece? I will say that if you're vaccinated, you pretty much can do anything. You'll just need to present your vaccine certificate and an ID. If you're from the EU, you need to have that QR code on the COVID pass or the, whatever document they've given you, because that's going to be scannable. If you're not coming from the EU, you can register on a website that will give you a QR code, but it's only for certain countries. So I will list that website below, and you can go and look and see if your country's QR code is accepted. If you're coming from a country like the US, where they don't have any kind of code, either a barcode or a QR code, they are supposed to accept your card along with some sort of ID like your passport. However, I do know that some people have had issues. Just be persistent with them, and if they refuse, then I would say move on, try to find somewhere else like to eat, because it's mainly happening at restaurants. And the reason it's happening is because the restaurant gets quite a large fine if they're caught serving people without a COVID pass. So just take that into consideration. They're just trying to watch themselves and make sure that they're following the rules. So just be sort of patient with people, because even though this has been in place for a month or so now, it's still really tricky. Actually, it's been longer than that. But they're still just being super cautious because the fine is large. I think the fine is like 5,000 euros. So they definitely can't afford it. You can pretty much go everywhere else with the vaccine. You will also still need to fill out some sort of passenger locator form if you're flying, let's say, within Greece, or if you're getting on a ferry. You don't need to fill those out in advance. You can usually fill them out at the time of your flight or your ferry. I haven't taken an internal flight since last year, so they may not be asking for it on the internal flights, but I do know they're asking for it on the ferries. And you can get that form when you go pick up your ferry ticket and fill it out right then. You can do it 5 minutes before you board. It's fine. Don't need to stress about that. If you're coming and you're unvaccinated, this is where it sort of gets tricky, because there aren't very many things that you can do without being vaccinated or taking a test. So if you're unvaccinated, you can go take a rapid test and it will be valid for 48 hours. You can eat outside with that, and you can get on the ferries and the planes. But and you can go into stores, like you can go shopping, but there isn't anything else you can do. You can't go into a museum, you can't go into the archaeological sites either. Even though most of those archaeological sites are outside, they're just not allowing it. So I'd say that if you're unvaccinated, you're gonna be very limited in what you can do for the time being. Now, the restrictions for showing, like being vaccinated and showing all these things are supposed to expire, but I guarantee you they will be extended, at least until Omicron is more under control. So now a lot of you may not be coming until the summer, so definitely subscribe and make sure that you are staying up to date with what those restrictions are, because all of this could change by the time the summer comes, because it gets warmer and we're outside more and the virus doesn't spread as much. So keep all of that in mind. If you're coming to Greece, whether you're vaccinated or not, there are some other things you need to know about. One is that on public transportation and in a supermarket, you either need to wear a double mask or an N95 or NK95 or FFP2 mask when you're on those. It is required, and actually, if you come soon, you're gonna see that a lot of people are wearing them everywhere. You know, why switch out masks if you don't have to? And so far I haven't had an issue getting one here in Greece, but if you could bring some with you, that way you don't have to scrounge around trying to go into a pharmacy to get one here, then that would be beneficial for you. Also, as of right now, masks are required everywhere, even outside. It does not need to be that kind of mask. You can wear just a regular cloth or a medical mask if you want to while you're walking around outside. All right, guys, that was a lot of information. So if you have any questions, definitely ask me in the comments below, and I will either know the answer and I can get back to you, or I will find an answer for you and get back to you as soon as I can, because I know all of this is super confusing, and hopefully by the summer we will not be doing this anymore. Cross your fingers. I keep saying that. Maybe I'm jinxing all of us. I'm sorry if that's the case. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.